Hello fellow duelists, this is Shadow of the Moon, and today I'm going to be showing you an updated deck profile of my Shinobird deck for August of 2022. This deck actually hasn't been upgraded, and I have not showcased this deck since I believe November of last year, so it's been quite a long time. I just want to say thank you guys so much, my new subscribers. Thank you guys for people who are always watching my channel and always view my content and comment. You guys rock, and thank you for always keeping the channel alive. I always try to post deck profiles and always try to make this a very kind of relaxed and chill place to look up videos and stuff, because I know nowadays with so many videos running around on YouTube that it can get annoying, especially for me, because I don't really get on YouTube that much anymore except to kind of like comment and just like the videos that I do watch and stuff weekly. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this deck profile. So this deck is a lot of fun, and I'm going to explain why. Shinobirds are great because it doesn't rely really heavily on the extra deck, because it is a ritual deck. Let me fix there we go. It is a ritual deck, so you're not going to be focusing too heavily on the extra deck. And with the release of Pot of Extravagance and the new Albaz structure deck, made it very, very easily accessible to be able to actually have draw power in this deck. Shinobirds are great because they're spirit monsters, and they come back to the hand at the end phase of the turn, but it can also leave tokens. And with Shinobird Peacock, he can make it to where you send cards back to your opponent's hand, the monsters, and then Shinobaroness can send back spell and traps. So also, with yata-garasu being finally at 1, I wanted to actually incorporate yata-garasu in this deck because I thought it was just, if any deck required yata-garasu or was perfect for yata-garasu, it would have been Shinobirds. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. So first off, we've got 3 copies of your Shinobaron. Shinobaron is the main monster in the deck. So what he does is, when he gets ritual summoned, you can send up to 3 cards back, 3 monsters back to your opponent's hand, and then when he gets sent back, he gets 2 tokens that are both level 4s. That's going to help you go into your exceed plays that are rank 4s, and also for your monsters that you have in your extra deck. This is one of the biggest ones because it's 3,000 attack. Very, very, very good. And then you've got 2 copies of your Shinobaroness. You can replace this and make 3 if you want. I don't use her effect as often because the backfield thing isn't really a big issue for me with this deck, because most of these cards end up going back to the field anyways. But she actually will do the same thing except with Shinobaron, except she sends spell and traps back to the hand. And then we've got 1 copy of Incantation Chalice Slime. It's an adorable little guy. Sorry about the lens focus. So you can ritual summon this card, obviously, and then with the Incantation Inception, also you lose 2,000 life points by discarding a card, and special summon an incantation monster from your deck. During the end phase, you'll pay to the 2,000. And you can send 1 incantation card from your hand or face-up card on the field. Then target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it, and you can only activate the effect once per turn. So very, very, very good in this deck because it's going to help you special summon those incantations. And this deck actually has gotten pretty speedy for a ritual deck. You wouldn't expect it because ritual decks usually tend to be slow, but this deck actually is quite fast. And then we have Transonic Bird, which is actually came out in the Burst of Destiny, and it's a level 4, so it will add towards your monster count. Once per turn, once per opponent's turn, you can send 1 ritual spell from your deck to the graveyard. The effect becomes this card's effect. And then the ritual summon, when this card is activated, if the ritual summon card is distributed, you can target a face card your opponent controls and negate its effect until the end phase of the turn. He's going to allow you to negate the effects and also destroy your opponent's card on their turn, which is actually absolutely insane. I'm loving that you can actually put this in the deck because I know that Shinobirds can work really, really well with ritual monsters, and this was definitely one of the newest additions to it. And then obviously the big legendary yata-garasu. Basically, you don't draw if you attack your opponent. They don't draw during their draw phase, and then this will bounce back to the hand. Very easy to be able to get into, and since it is a ritual monster, it goes back to the hand. And then 3 copies of Manju of the 10,000 Hands. This is one of the best ritual searchers. So when this card is normal flip summon, you can add a ritual monster or ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. You choose whichever you want. And then we have 3 copies of Amano Iwado. I know, say that 5 times fast. Imano Iwado is monsters cannot activate their effects except spirit monsters, then once per turn. During the end phase, this card was normal summoned, flip face up, that returns to the hand, obviously. But this is going to shut down your opponent and make it to where they can't activate the effects except for the spirit monsters. And then for the incantation, we've got 2 incantation Talismandra. And Talismandra You can reveal a ritual monster in your hand, special summon both this card from your hand and one incantation monster from your deck, except Talismandra. If the card is special summoned from the deck, you can add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use the effect of once per turn. And then 2 incantations Candle. Candle is going to be doing the same thing with the special summoning. You can reveal a ritual in your hand, special summon both this card from your hand and one incantation monster from your deck, except him. If this card is special summoned, you can add a ritual spell card from your deck to your hand. And then 1 copy of Incantation Bookstone and 1 copy of Incantation Pensiplum. So these are going to be doing the same thing. That's going to help you special summon onto your field and use them for ritual materials. And for the kaijus, I am running 3 different kaijus. I'm running the Gamacell, I'm running Radion, and I'm running Doragon. You can run whatever kind of kaiju you want. You can run whatever options. You can even run more if you want. I'm just purposely running the 3 of these because it is beneficial. I like being able to have the 22, the 22, the 3000, and the 28 to be able to kind of give my opponent this one, and I'll take this one, or so on and so forth. So that's going to be it for the monsters, guys. Let's move on to the spells. So now we've got 3 triple copies of Shinobird's Calling. This is going to allow you to ritual summon from your hand, field, or banish zone or graveyard. So that's actually very beneficial. 1 copy of Incantation Inception. This is going to help you bring out your Chalice Slime. And then you got 1 copy of Sonic Tracker. This is going to help you bring out Transonic Bird. And then 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. This is actually a very important card in this deck because you add a ritual spell card from your deck to your hand and then add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand whose name is listed on the card. You can only activate it once per turn, but definitely, since it's a ritual deck, you are definitely going to be doing that a lot. And then 2 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. This is strictly going to be in here just for the Sonic Bird, Transonic Bird, and for the Incantation. And then lastly for that, we've got 3 copies of Triple Pot of Extravagance. The great thing about this deck is it reminds me a lot like Monarchs. This deck does not require you to really have an extra deck. You have like the basic cards in here like Appaloosa, or you've got cards like the Unicorn, you've got Phoenix, you've got Cross Sheep, you've got the Hope Harbinger, Titanic Galaxy, Time Thief, and all that stuff. But you can pretty much put in whatever you want in this deck because this will help it to where you can draw cards just by banishing cards from your extra deck face down. So yeah, definitely a very powerful card, especially in this deck, because you're not really relying too much on your extra deck. And then 3 copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. This is going to help you special summon your kaijus from the deck, and this is really going to just like make it to where you take your opponent's monsters. I love kaijus. Kaijus are so great, and I wish more people played kaijus because honestly, they can get over so many different strategies. And then just 1 copy, single copy of Shinobird Salvation. I wanted to include this one in here because it is a Shinobird card, and if a face-up monster you control returns to the hand, this card is face up on the field, except during it. You can target a card your opponent controls and destroy it. And then when your opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish the spirit monster from your graveyard to negate the attack and end the battle phase. So it becomes a perpetual threatening roar or negate attack every single time you have a spirit monster in the graveyard that you can banish, and then it actually pops cards in your opponent's field if a card gets sent back to the hand. Alright, so that's going to be it for the main deck. Now let's move on to the extra deck. So first off, 1 Appaloosa, and for the big ones, and we've got Borolo Dragon. These can be replaced with whatever you want, but kind of try to keep Appaloosa because Appaloosa kind of can be the negate. That's what you need for it. And then 1 Unicorn and 1 Phoenix, obviously to spin stuff and pop spells and traps. And then you've got 1 Wind Charmer, Vernadent. You've got 1 Great Fly. I kind of wanted to keep in Great Fly in here because I thought it was really interesting to actually use this. And then Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep's in here for the main effect for using Exceed or Ritual. Because you are using Ritual monsters, you get to draw 2 cards. This helps the deck out a lot because you're going to be perpetually drawing. 1 Link Spider to use for those tokens. And then you've got 1 Heart. You've got Titanic Galaxy. You've got Time Thief Redoer, and you've got Tornado Dragon. This is a great card in this deck because this is going to either bounce cards back from your opponent's to your opponent's hand, you draw cards, or it's going to be sent from the field, sent banished, so that way they can't use anything. This is going to be negating your opponent's spell cards, and Tornado Dragon is going to be popping spells and traps on the field. And then we've got Castel, the Sky Blasting Musketeer. That's going to send cards back to the deck. Chidori is going to destroy set cards. Abyss Dweller is going to make it to where your opponent can't play with their graveyard. And then lastly, Durgus the Timeless, which is going to help you draw 2 cards. Alright, so that's going to be it for this deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it. This deck is a lot of fun. I'm not usually a big one on ritual decks because, to be honest with you, ritual decks have never really appealed to me all that much. But I love the idea of using the Shinobird because it's a Winged Beast ritual deck, which hasn't really been done before except for Nephitis. I tried Nephitis. I actually had that deck for a while, but I actually ended up taking it apart because it was too slow and I just didn't really like the whole strategy behind it. But this deck is just a lot of fun because of all that it can do. You're constantly special summoning. It's easy to get 5 monsters. It's easy to get Appaloosa out, and just being able to make it to where your opponent doesn't have anything on the field. And Shinobird just looks so cool. I love it because I'm big, and I love, you know, the Japanese style clothing. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I love Japanese culture, because I do, but also I'm a very big historic buff on Japan during like Edo era and everything, so I do really love that and appreciate that, and I love the artwork in this deck. So alright, so that's gonna be it for this deck profile. Hope you enjoyed it, and with that, see you guys next time. Later.